I think a lot of us go through life with dark clouds around our heads, right? And a heart that is filled with resentment towards ourselves. We continuously blame, we continuously undermine, we continuously judge ourselves for experiences that happened in our past. Maybe we did something to hurt someone else, or we place ourselves in situations in which we allowed ourselves to get hurt, and we feel the need to carry the past around us as if the past is a burden that is meant to be carried, right? And very often our healing, very often our growth, very often the change that we desire is being delayed simply because we feel the need to keep holding the past against us. Simply because we feel the need to judge ourselves based on our past experiences, right? And when it comes down to something such as changing, when it comes down to something such as healing, these things require us to see ourselves in a new perspective. These things require us to see ourselves in a new light, right? And so, as long as we keep seeing ourselves through the perspective of our past, as long as we keep seeing ourselves through the perspective of our mistakes, then ultimately, how can we ever truly move forward? How can we ever truly heal? How can we ever truly change and become the person that we desire to become? It's kind of like trying to build a house on an already unstable foundation, right? On an old unstable foundation. You can try to build a new house on an old unstable foundation, but it won't be long until things come crashing down. It won't be long until things begin to fall apart. And that's what's happening whenever we try to move forward and we keep holding on to the past. Whenever we try to move forward and we keep seeing ourselves through the lens of our past, right? Very often, we try to move forward and these thoughts pop up into our heads, right? Thoughts of unworthiness. Thoughts that tell us that we're not worthy to move forward. We're not worthy to heal simply because of our past mistakes, right? And very often we allow ourselves to accept these thoughts. Very often we allow ourselves to, begin or continue to see ourselves through the lens of these thoughts. And whatever progress that we make in terms of our healing, whatever progress that we make in terms of our growth, it simply falls apart, right? You don't have to keep seeing yourself through that same lens. You don't have to keep holding your past mistakes, the things that you did in your past against you, right? Alan Watts has this quote in which he says, "You are under no obligation to be the same person that you were 5 minutes ago." And so you are under no obligation to keep holding the past against yourself, right? You can allow what was to be what was and embrace what is. You can begin to see yourself in a new lens. You can begin to see yourself in a new perspective, and you have to begin to understand that your past simply does not define you. Your mistakes do not define you. None of the things that happened back then define you, right? And none of it defines you. A lot of us didn't know better back then, but you know better now. A lot of us had to make certain mistakes. A lot of us had to do things the wrong way in order for us to learn. But ultimately, what we're meant to do is take the lessons from our experiences, right? Take the things that we need to take away and allow the burden of the past to be in the past, right? I think it was Jesus that said, "Let the dead bury the dead. Let what was be what was." You don't have to keep holding the past over your head. You don't have to keep carrying that resentment in your heart towards yourself. You are not your mistakes. You are not, the things that you did. None of those things truly define you. None of them. I think most of us in this world, right? We go to the world and society tells us that who we truly are isn't good enough, right? Society tells us that we are always defined by the things that we do in our past. And especially when you have a lot of people in your life always reminding you of the things that you did, always reminding you of the ways in which you go wrong, and you allow yourself to carry that guilt around with you, and you keep living your life in reference to that guilt. And that guilt, that shame, that resentment that we hold towards ourselves is the very same thing that keeps us stuck in this perpetual state of suffering. Is the very same thing that keeps us stuck in our lives, right? Whenever we hold the past over our heads, we have no choice but to, be stuck in the past. Whenever we're stuck in the past, whenever we hold our past experiences against us, then we're not truly living, because to truly live is to be in the present moment. And so if you're living in reference to your past experiences, then you're truly not living. You're truly not living at all. You have to allow yourself to let those things go. You have to begin to see yourself in a new perspective and a new light. And you have to find the strength to forgive yourself. You have to give yourself the compassion, right? The love to move forward in your life. And obviously, right? Obviously, when it comes down to forgiveness is really a mental decision before it becomes an emotional one. And what I mean by that is your feelings simply won't just fall apart, right? Your feelings won't just go away magically, right? It doesn't work like that. And your feelings truly are the issue. Your feelings are an indicator that there's something underneath. There's some negative belief. There's some negative thought that you're holding on to. But once you've made the decision to forgive yourself, once you make the decision to begin to see yourself in a new perspective, it won't be long until those feelings about yourself dissipate. It won't be long until they go away, right? But beginning to see yourself in a new light and forgiving yourself begins with a choice. It begins with a choice that only you have to make. Very often we are our biggest critics. Very often we are our biggest judges, right? We judge ourselves for the simplest things. We judge ourselves and we hold our past against us. We are the ones that are keeping, ourselves stuck. We are the ones that are holding ourselves back from receiving the healing and the growth and the change that we truly desire, right? And it's not until we begin to change how we view ourselves, it's not until we begin to change our self-image, that's when life truly begins to change for us. And it all begins with a choice. A very hard choice, but it begins with a choice. You are not your mistakes. You are none of the things that you did. None of those things truly define you. Right? None of it. We came into this world and we came into this world pure. But as a result of this world, a lot of us, we made certain mistakes. We didn't have necessary guidance. We didn't have necessary people to show us the right way. So we had to make certain mistakes in order for us to learn. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It simply means that you're human. And once you begin to realize that all of us in this world, for the most part, or most of us, I'm not going to say all of us because I don't know everybody, right? But most of us in this world, we have something that we're not proud of. We all make mistakes at some point in our lives. We all do things that we're not necessarily proud of, right? It's all a natural part of this life and of this experience. You don't have to keep condemning yourself. You don't have to believe that, you're a bad person or you're a villain, or you don't have to believe any of the negative stories that are roaming around in your mind. You don't have to believe any of them. Forgive yourself. Give yourself compassion. Give yourself grace. Understanding that you're learning in this life. We're all learning. And we're going to make mistakes, right? But ultimately, we're meant to take the lessons out of those mistakes and use those lessons to become a better person. Use those lessons to move forward. Use those lessons to grow, right? That ultimately, that's what we're meant to do. But the longer we hold on to, the weight of the past, the longer we hold on to our mistakes, is the more we sort of delay our healing and our growth. The more we delay ourselves from moving forward. Right? Life is meant to be lived in the present. Life isn't meant to be lived in reference to the past. You use the past to learn to live in the present, right? You use the lessons that you learn from your mistakes to move forward. But ultimately, you don't carry the weight of the past with you. Allow yourself to be free. Don't carry that burden on your heart. Right? Life is a lot more beautiful. Life is a lot more abundant. Life is a lot more joyful when we allow what was to be what was, and we embrace what is. You don't have to condemn yourself. Right? You can allow yourself to move forward by forgiving yourself, by understanding that you made mistakes and your mistakes truly don't define you, right? So yeah, that's it for this short video. And like I said, find it in your heart to forgive yourself. You're human. We're all human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to, do things that we're not proud of. But none of it truly defines us. And the only person that is judging you is you. And even if other people in your life are judging you, they don't have the power to define you. Only you can define you. And once you begin to understand that mistakes are truly a natural part of this life, then that's when you truly grow, you truly heal, and you truly move forward. Peace and blessings.